I cannot see the chat, so I'm gonna depend on Hitch and Fatty to watch the chat for me. Maybe type some things in the chat on Skype if I need to pay attention to something. Unless it is Rick, also known as Big Snacks, calling me an optic fanboy. I don't want to know about that.
Yeah.
So,
I'll let you know as soon as he does.
all right, we have some very special guests on the show today. We got Jay from SB, Freaky Toast. If you guys, I'm not gonna have him tell the story today. If you want to see why his name is Freaky Toast, go watch. I have a video on my channel where he was featured on the STiKS before. It was a very interesting story. We also got Hastro from Team Envious, one of the owners of that team. And we're going to start off as we do in regular STiKS fashion, asking everybody to introduce yourself and mention any affiliations you have in the COD community, even if they're obvious. And today, you're going to add to that, if you were a rap star, you were a famous rapper. I know this is Hitch's dream. What would be the name of your first album? And I'm gonna start.
What?
Oh my god! I want to be last. I want to be
with,
last. I have to think about this.
All right, I'm gonna start with Hitch.
You guys a lot. You guys are.
Just start with me.
And I'm gonna go to Fatty, and then myself, and then we'll do Hastro, and then Jay. Hastro, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, okay, let's make sure. All right, so I'm gonna start with Hitch, and then we'll do Fatty, myself, and then we'll do Hastro, and then Freaky Toast.
First of all, that is actually Hastro's real webcam. He's just staying really, really still.
No,
Yeah.
he's just a beast.
Yeah.
I'm Hitch. I do media things sometimes. What my album? I don't know. It would probably be something to like wordplay Hitch and together, but I don't know what it would be. I don't know what it would be, so I'd have to think about it. I'll probably just pop up in the middle of the show and just say it, but I'll think of it.
What a fail! You had a huge opportunity there.
Well, you made me go first. Like, what do you want me to do?
Oh, I'll go second. Wait, yeah.
All right, go ahead, Fatty.
My name's Fighting Fatty. You may see me around trying to cast stuff, and right now you can use Smiting Fatty, Fatty 25 for 25% off Gamma. So I'm really happy about that actually.
Dude,
Go to
that's not fair.
gfuel.com. What?
Nothing.
And my album name would be Short, Fat, and Happy.
Everything has to be short, fat, and happy with Fatty. God.
Oh yeah.
All right. My name is Kingdom Soldier. This is my show. I stream it once a week, and I do some stuff on YouTube. I my album name would be I Am the Number One Detriment. And I won't go into the details of that, but I was thinking about this today. I've never played GBs or UMG Goes or anything like that. When I'm on Destiny, I am the number one detriment. I'm the guy that you have to backpack. And so that's why my album would be called I Am the Number One Detriment.
Okay, that's
Hastro?
awesome. That's an awesome
My name is Hastro, or I go by Hastro. Real name is Mike. Co-founder and managing director at Team Envious. OG COD esports guy. And if I had to make a rap album name, God, that's so hard. It'd probably be something like All Night Long.
All night.
Hey.
Stroke going all night long.
Hey, man, with those loaded Coronas.
Oh man!
Yeah.
They don't know about that, Mike.
Yeah, they don't. This is Jay's here. I had to bring it up.
Oh my god!
All right, Freaky, you're up.
Oh man! All right, my name's Jay, Freagy, Toast, whatever you want to call me. As long as you don't call me a bleep hole, I'm fine with that. I'm the owner and founder, one of the owners and founder of Strictly Business Gaming. Many of you have seen me probably screaming like a lunatic at events. If I was to make a name of my album, it would probably be called So Freagy.
So freaky.
That's good. That's good.
Classic.
Now, if like Kingdom said, if you want to know where my name originated from, you can go ahead and go on his YouTube channel and check that out. He, I don't know if you guys want to leave a link or whatever, but yeah, Freaky is a Spanish way of saying freaky. That's all I'm gonna leave you with. You guys watch that video if you want to know where that name originated from. That's it. That's me.
It was really good. Goalie can link it in the chat. It's easy to
Staffies.
find on my channel. So we're gonna jump right into the questions for, especially for you two, to jump out the gate because we have a limited amount of time, and people hear from me, Hitch, and Fatty every week. So recently, to start kind of with Team Envious, recently Envy has been on a tear, winning G3, having top placings at the last couple of lands, and leading in the league right now. And it seems like this team that you have, this lineup that you have, Hastro, they seem to be clicking on all cylinders, and you guys have been taking trips around the world and uploading videos, from exotic locations. And you guys won an event like in China or something like that. And so I just wanted to kind of ask Castro, what is it that is different about this team? What is unique to these four players that has them performing like they are, and they actually seem to have to be clicking and working together really well.
I'd probably say it has more to do with them just getting along and wanting. I guess they're focusing on trying to win. I think their focus is there. It's probably the team that we've had with the most focus, I'd say, together as a team. So I think that's really the number one reason they're performing so well right now. And yeah, I mean, we've had teams recently in the past that just really haven't kind of got along with each other in the middle of a game or whatever it is. So their team chemistry is just there. It's on point right now, and they're focused, and they play off each other really well. I think they complement each other, like, skill wise too, and what they can bring to a team, especially in Ghosts and the way it's played. So
yeah,
those are probably the main reasons right now.
Is there anything you've done as owner or manager to kind of help to build that camaraderie on the team, or is it just that these four guys it's almost like the perfect storm, like they came together and they just decided, it's winning is most important, so we're going to get over all the other stuff?
Yeah, in the past I had to do a lot more of that, but with these guys it's a lot easier. I mean, the one thing I've always tried to do, for our players is just make sure that they're comfortable and they have everything that they need to go out and focus on what they do. And that's just what I've always tried to do for the guys, is just be there to help them get taken care of. I mean, to have all those things that you wouldn't get with another organization. And I think we've done a pretty good job of that. We try to keep them happy, and yeah, I mean, that's really my job. And yeah, it's try to give them all those tools and things that I never had when I was a pro gamer.
Yeah, you do a great job, and I think, I mean, it shows. The results speak for themselves. You seem to always have a smile on your face when you're at events, regardless of where your team is placing. And I think these guys, I was watching JCap stream yesterday when they were playing in the 2K, and I think that they're set apart from everybody else from their ability to get along, and even when they disagree, it seems like it's constructive disagreement rather than just outright arguing, yelling, screaming. That actually kind of tears the team down. They seem to build each other up even in moments where they don't know. And I saw a moment yesterday in the stream where where Formal was like, "What are we doing, guys? What are we doing next? This isn't working." And everybody kind of paused for a moment, and then somebody made a suggestion, and I think it might have been Methods on Freight, and it worked. And they came back and beat Optic, and it looked like Optic was going to win the game. And so, I mean, congrats to you on the success that you're having with the team and how good they're doing. And I hope it continues because you have a great squad, and it's good to see those guys kind of getting what they've always dreamed of.
Yeah, man. I mean, yeah, they're playing really well, and I'm really happy with the way they're performing right now. And a lot of people, I'd say, like, a lot of the community or people who are kind of fans or watch, like, I just don't think they understand, like, how hard it is to win one of these events. I mean, it's not easy at all.
Nope.
It's it's really, really not easy. And yeah, I think our guys are playing just remarkable right now. And to watch what they did at G3 was pretty special to me. So yeah.
Well, and so Freagy, I know that you have been there when your team has won an event at regionals, and I know that you have a different squad, but I'm sure that was huge. Seeing SB kind of top the other teams.
Yeah.
What is it like as a as a smaller brand, like as a smaller brand in the community right now, like what are you doing and what do you do consistently to help the brand of Strictly Business grow, so that you guys can continue to become a larger brand? What is it? I mean, is it being active on Twitter? Is it YouTube? What is it that you guys are trying to do to make sure that SB continues to grow as a brand?
Well, for SB to grow, number one, it's gonna require, fans and all that stuff. But what we're doing mostly is concentrating on our YouTube channel. I mean, I know how imperative, how that's just one of the main things that we've been doing to try to keep SB alive. I know
Yeah.
we've had our ups and downs, and like I said, like you said, we've won an event and with a good team, and then they left us. But what
Yeah.
we're doing mostly is we got a lot of, most of us stream, whether it's on the SB channel. I know I'm always on my channel, and just pretty much keeping our social media alive. We're always on Twitter, always tweeting out to fans. We trying to keep that part of it alive. I mean, next month makes a year anniversary that Strictly Business has been around, so that's just going to be a milestone for us. I know when we first started, we never expected to even be at least this ahead that we're at now. I mean, from where we started to now, it's pretty much an accomplishment for us, especially how much we've done since Ghost came out. A lot of the things that we learned are from bigger guys like Hastro and Optic. I mean, I know a lot of these smaller orgs, they're trying to do things on their own, but if you're not learning from them, you're not learning. To be honest, I mean, I know it's an ego thing for most of these people, but if you're not learning from them, you're not learning, because the success that these guys have found in esports is something that you need to learn from. And Mike knows, him and I are both a phone call away from each other. I know I've called him on numerous, for advice. We've talked at events, but Mike's always said, if you ever need something from me, just give me a ring. And Mike's the homie. That's why, if you ever need anything, like, a place to sleep in case SB falls, he said that I can sleep in his house, I'll be good.
Well, I never said that, but if you do need a place to stay, you're good, man.
I'm only messing around, man.
Oh, yeah.
He knew you would agree to it, so he just
Yeah, it's cool,
he knew
man.
it would be a
I'll sit
problem.
down.
He's not gonna deny me on stream. I'm currently homeless right now. I'm at a Starbucks. I'm good. So
That's an interesting poster for a Starbucks that you have in the
It's a Universal Studios Starbucks.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, thank you guys kind of for throwing in that. So I want to kind of switch a little bit and go in an interesting direction before we kind of dig into some more specific questions for the two of you. So this is a question for everybody, and we'll bounce around for kind of who answers. But if you were the Adam Silver of competitive Call of Duty, if you were the commissioner of competitive Call of Duty, what would be the first thing you would either add or remove from the community, from the way we manage things right now? And I'm going to start with Fatty, and then I'm going to go Freaky Toast, Hitch, and then Hastro.
Always got to start me first. No, I would add more teams to the league. I think it'd make it a little bit more interesting. They'd probably have to play a little bit more, or well, maybe they'd play less, but longer in between, big tournaments. But I would definitely add more teams to the league. I would also, I don't know, I'd probably change the whole, you have to strictly stream on MLG, but I understand why they do that. So yeah, the first thing I would do is add more teams.
Okay. Freaky?
Well, I know with us, I know that with us not being in the league, I just feel like if I was to add something, it would 100% be more teams, like Fatty said. But and if they were to do that, probably put teams that were originating. I mean, SB was one of the original teams that started with the season, and I feel like obviously no disrespect to MLG, we're 100% with MLG with anything, and they know that. But I feel like if you make a comparison with like NFL, for example, if you were the New York Giants and you faced the Philadelphia Eagles and lost to the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't feel like the New York Giants should go down to freaking NCAA football because they weren't really good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And
that's a good point. That's a good point.
That's how I feel like where Strictly Business is at right now. I mean, we started off strong, but because we didn't produce, granted, I mean, you know, you're not going to produce every single time, but I feel like the org is getting punished rather than the players, and you know, and they're giving opportunities for the players to be drafted so that the org can get the, you know, the bird in a sense. But that's them trying to work things out. That's them trying to better themselves, and I feel like they need to improve on that aspect of it. But they know that, you know, SB is 100% committed with MLG, and if I want anything changed, it'd be something like that. I want us to, you know, at least them give us a chance for us to get back in the league to become you know, to at least get back in it, you know. But that's probably my main thing for them to change is that.
Hitch.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess more teams, or even how did they used to do it with like a semi-pro? Like there's pro a pro level league, and then how they used to do something involving semi-pro, but I kind of forgot. Do you remember how they used to do that?
What do you mean?
Like
With
didn't
the-
MLG used
in
to do
MLG?
something? Yeah. Where it was
Well,
like,
no, not really. I mean, there's a semi-pro league that takes place right now, but it was
No, they never did anything like that.
Yeah,
they never
there
did
was-
anything like
People
that.
would
I
call
thought it was.
themselves semi-pros, but
Oh, is that what it was?
There's no
Just
that
if
was
you were. If
nobody
you-
really was
There was no
recognized as semi-pro. It was just
Oh, okay,
something
so-
people like to call themselves.
And that was just the same. that was just
Scams
that
and
was just
pro.
being.
I'm a
taught
semi-pro
16, right?
caster.
That was like top 16 through 8. Is that when
Well-
people would classify themselves as semi-pros?
I don't know. It was
Yeah.
really
Really
confusing
kind
back
of
in the day,
just
but
dumb.
typically like the top 16 were pro teams. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, yeah, I was like talking about it because basically there's only those teams that have something to fight for right now in the league, and I feel like you know, it's a really big stretch for, you know, these high schoolers sitting at home that just game every night to try to get there. Like it's so far in the distance that we should, you know, focus on those players to try to give them something to work for. You know, does that make sense at all? Like, because it's a really big step and big commitment to fully devote yourself in order to, you know, to become a professional gamer. And so you have to like kind of have a way to get your feet wet, and right now we don't really have that. It's either you're all in and you're gonna either succeed or fail, or you're kind of just playing, you know, just casually. Does that make sense?
yeah. I mean, back in the day, we had, you know, in 2011, we had 6 events. You know, 6 like major
Mhm.
events that you could go to try and make a name for yourself. And now we had, I don't even know how many we had this year in terms of lower open events for amateur players. But I think like UMG has become that place now where you go to try and make a name for yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah.
Because
Well,
when
Hastro- Oh, go ahead. Freaky.
no, I mean like what Hastro said, you know, UMGs came out, and I mean, to make a name for yourself, you win a UMG event. I mean, you get pro points towards, you know, your name, your gamer tag, you know, your name, and you're making a name for yourself. So UMGs, that is definitely a tournament to attend to if you want to make a name. I mean, aside from MLGs, you know, there's even AEL that's coming out, and you know, they've had a few events, and they plan on making more events too. So the growth is, you know, it's unreal. I mean, it's getting bigger and bigger every year. So we'll see what happens.
Astro, what would be the first thing you would add or remove
Mm,
if you were the commissioner?
yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say, but I think I think that I would probably want to do more LAN events, but you know, obviously it costs money, man. I mean,
Yeah.
but if I were in that spot, like that's what I would try to do. I would try to produce as many LAN events as I could. I would just be focusing on that and working my ass off to get that done. And I know MLG is working on getting more of that to happen some way or somehow, whether that be just in a studio setting or whether that be in a event setting. Like I just feel like the players deserve to compete against each other, you know, in the most fair environment possible. And it's something that I've been really vocal about, is just trying to create the biggest fair playing field for the players that you possibly can. And I think that's why you see like some of the like soundproof booths being at UMG events now and at Gfinity. I mean, for me, like that's always been really important. I mean, I've been involved where, and obviously I think everybody's seen players just like screaming and yelling at each other across the stage, and in my opinion, that's bullshit. And like, there should be no reason why a team should win a match based on how much talk they can throw at the other team and how much they can get in their heads, like by just screaming at them. It shouldn't be a psychological mind game match. It should be a match about skill in Call of Duty, and not, who can scream slurs at the other team the most. I mean, so like little things like that go a long way when you put, soundproof booths at events. And that's what I would want to do, is just give them the opportunity to play on LAN. I mean, it's obviously frustrating for a lot of players, and it's frustrating as from a fan perspective too, knowing that your ping is ultimately affecting how you're performing online. And even our guys, like, it's just tough when you win a tournament, or you win a match online, or you're first place in the league right now, and people just call you warriors or something. It's like, it takes away your credibility for all your hard work. And I would just like to see things get more formalized and paid for, to where we can actually put these teams on a network switch instead of internet routers.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess I would like to see, basically, if I was the commissioner, I would want to see an actual community, like, and somebody talked about this when they were on the show. I don't know if it was Sharp. I think it was Sharp that mentioned it. But if a few well-known players that everybody sees as respectable, like your Mercs, your Sharps, your Nade Shots, there's a few players that could get together that everybody respects, that could kind of represent the players themselves, and then a few owners, that could get together, like two of you guys, maybe Hastro, maybe Snacks. I mean, people that are advocates for the players that could get together, and then of course a few people from MLG, just to have some of these behind the scenes conversations, so that nothing has to end up being a Twitter battle, where players, and now you've got organizations getting involved. And I think Temper sent out an interesting tweet when the Karma stuff was going down. And so I'd like to see just a commission. I guess if I was the commissioner, I'd pull together people and just have conversations, even if it was just like this. Like, I would get together a little Skype call and just talk about the future of competitive Call of Duty and the direction that we were going to take.
Yeah. Oh, I think MLG's been good about that lately, man. I mean, and other people too, even like Activision. I mean, that stuff's happening, but I think the biggest problem is just resources, like how these events are so expensive to put on, man. People just don't realize how pricey it is to get 12 teams out to a tournament and, have a full production base around it, and a venue with internet. I mean, I can tell you right now, like, it is legit. Whenever, let's say, MLG puts on an event at, let's say, the Anaheim Convention Center, it costs them $100,000 a day for internet. Like, think about that for a second. You pay $70 a month for I'm dead serious. If you go to PAX and you get a booth at PAX that's 20 by 30 feet, which is the size of the room I'm in right now, it'll cost you $100,000 a day for an internet connection. And that's legit. Like, that is real life money that has to go to pay just for your internet connection. It doesn't include the 40 staff that you have there working the cameras and the boards and audio sound, boards and the cameramen, like all that stuff. I mean, it's costly. So it's people don't realize, like, oh well, why can't you just do all these LAN events? That's the problem. So it's more about a sales thing, I think, in my opinion. People need to be out there selling off and saying, hey, this thing has legs when people are watching it. Get more brands to pay those costs.
So are you talking about sponsorships going to MLG directly is what we need more of? Like, MLG.
Well, they've kind of switched. They've kind of like pivoted their business model from selling sponsorships to actually being like an ad network now. Like, they're like a media content network. So they're selling ad space essentially. They used to have sponsorships, but you don't really see those anymore. What you see is advertisements, and that's where they're focused now. And I think that's where MLG's become profitable, is like selling online ad space, but and ad runs on their stream network. But for events to happen, I think like that they have to get some big brands involved and to sponsor the events. You know, like it shouldn't just be like MLG Anaheim. It should be like, you know, I'll use Monster for example. I think like Monster Energy is a brand that could come in and just say, okay, this is the Monster Cup. You know, it's the Monster Cup, and
Yeah.
that's what the players are competing for. This is the Monster Cup, right? Like that's what they need to be selling. It should be like whatever the Dr. Pepper Championship or whatever you want to call it. And you
I
see
see what
that
you're
with
saying.
like
Okay.
you see that with like golf, right? Like PGA Tour is a good example.
Yeah.
They name the tournaments after brands. Like, for example, like Wyndham Hotels, like that's played here in Greensboro, 10 minutes away from our team house. The Wyndham Championship. You know, you have
Yeah.
the Shell Houston Open, like Shell gas stations. You know, it's like you have these brands that pay for the tournament and to happen. So, yeah, I feel like that is a scenario that could be possible for us.
And look at all those things that he just mentioned right there. I mean, you know, you don't. One of the things that Hastro just said, you know, you got the soundproof booths, and you got all these things, you know, so that players don't curse and do all this craziness that people, you know, that when you're at an event you really can't control. It's one thing to get hyped. It's fine. I mean, a fan can get hyped, but or a player can get hyped, but it's too excessive sometimes. And these soundproof booths are, you know, necessity. And if these sponsors were to ever come about, and if these sponsors were to ever come to these events, you would get them looking at players dropping f-bombs. You suck. Go home. Or, you know, all this craziness that would come out of these players' mouths. You know, you're effing awful. You know, like how are sponsors gonna come around and see stuff like that? And if they're in a soundproof booth, they can say whatever the heck they want. You know, but they're saying it around their players, around the team. But, you know, you can't really hear what the other teams are saying to them, and it becomes a more of a professional environment, per se. I mean, gaming can be huge because look at the viewers that MLG, look at the history and all the you know, all the viewers coming on and watching these streams and stuff. You know, people are watching this more than they're watching televised, you know, things that are televised on television. You know, there's shows. You know, let me just put down DVR. I want to watch the UMG event. You know, and when you get things like that's something that can be made from nothing to something. And if sponsors were to ever come about, something would have to be in place. You know, rules. You know, you don't got these players going up to, you know, for example, baseball, going up to umpires saying "Go f your mother."
Yeah.
You know, there's a actual something needs to be put in place for something like that to happen, and it can happen. It's just someone needs to step up and become, like, for example, a commissioner. You know?
Yeah.
I think the players have gotten better though. I mean, you know, I think the actual professional players, I mean, there are a few of them now that got the clue, you know, and so like the pro Call of Duty players are a good bunch of guys, and I think it's turned into like a fraternity. I think Jay will say it right now, like he's seen it. You know, the guys that show up to these events now, even though they hate each other when they play each other in game, sometimes like they respect each other a lot outside of the game because they're all involved in something that's like a huge career risk, and they're all out there getting it right now. So, but yeah, I think the players have gotten a lot better. The amateur players is a different story, though. It's like they still have that old mindset. They don't really have to care about that stuff. Yeah,
it's crazy.
I mean, you know, just like sitting down at like a UMG event, you just hear screaming and yelling from across the venue. It's like that's normal, though, man. Like, that's been around since the day this thing started.
When it became a really big hit, you know, ever since that whole Atlanta thing, like I've never had more people start screaming it just in pubs, like freaking out than I had before then. At least among the people that watch, you know, watch the scene. But I like how it's becoming more professional, and I think that's going to broaden the landscape of what we attract. And I think I say this like every show. Like one of these days, you know, Bounty Soft or somebody is going to be sponsoring a team, or you know, like soundproof booths by Bose or something like that.
Oh, that'd be sick.
You know, but I mean, those are things that
I thought of Mbos when you said that.
Yeah, that too. Mbos is going to get rich enough to sponsor everybody. That's
grenades. He's going to sponsor grenades.
Oh man,
Mbos nades for sale at your local Kmart. Yeah, it'll happen.
Jeez.
Your local Kmart? They're selling grenades at Kmart. Sorry.
No, I'm just joking. It would be Walmart. No, so anyway, I want to kind of dig into a little bit of what Freaky said and ask you guys some follow-up questions. But before we get to that, we're going to take a 1-minute commercial break. Make sure you guys are tweeting out the stream. I see there were like a little over 300 viewers. I know PewDiePie is streaming on MLG.TV right now. But sticks are better than pie. I'm telling you, you can do more with a stick than you can with a pie. I promise. So tweet out the stream. Make sure you guys get some more people in here, and we'll be back in 1 minute. Tiger Woods golf. I'm the man at that.
Dude, my handicap is definitely pro level in Tiger Woods golf, like above. I think I've won every tournament I've entered.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
I'm serious.
Oh wait, really? Putt?
No, in Tiger Woods golf.
Oh yeah. I'm a G at that game. Me and my wife used to go hard at that game. We like trash talk each other in front of the kids before we played Tiger Woods golf. All right, so. About a year ago, Hastro, it had to be about a year ago because I think it was at G2. You were on the Red Room or whatever they do. It was like an hour and a half long video that I found myself watching the entire thing. It was when Adderall was a problem, and you were talking big about the need for a commissioner, and you volunteered yourself and said that you would step up if you had to be to enforce some rules. Now, recently in the last like 5 months, MLG has added a whole bunch of rules because of this league. And I guess technically I've heard Puckett call Adam Apicella the commissioner before, at least of that league. My question for you...
there is a commissioner of the MLG league, though. His name's John Nelson.
What is his actual job? Like, what is he just...
He's been the league commissioner for MLG for years.
For director. He's like a director or something like that.
He's the commissioner. That's his job. He's literally the commissioner.
He's the one that sent that letter out the first time STiKS was suspended.
That's sad.
He's been around for years with MLG, and I mean his job title is league commissioner.
So now that MLG is enforcing a lot of this publicly, they're letting us know, the suspensions and things like that, and trade deadlines and all these rules that have been added. I know for you, Freagy, like you said, not being in the league, it's a little more challenging. But is this a step in the right direction? And this is directly for you, Hastro. And if not, or is there more needed? Is there something that's missing from the way that MLG is kind of managing things right now and managing the players?
Well, I mean, I think it's just an issue of like scaling, and they're working on all sorts of things, but they have to scale it up, and with that kind of responsibility comes the need for like extra staff and all sorts of things, extra legal work and extra accounting, and all this stuff that goes into a business. And they're working on that stuff now. You can't just like explode it all of a sudden, and it just has to kind of gradually grow. And if you look at the way I help run our team and the way I try to do things with our team individually is I base it off of what would a sports franchise do. Like what are our revenue verticals or merchandise licensing. It's there are a lot of things that go into those business options as a sports franchise, and I think MLG as a league is doing the same thing. And if you look at the history of sports leagues, I mean, they did the same thing. If you looked at, let's say, baseball, for example, in the 1920s when it was first like getting to become a bigger sport, like those players had second jobs. It wasn't something that was, the Major League Baseball players in the early days were just there, not getting a huge paycheck. Like it's kind of similar to what we see with pro gamers right now. The league was still figuring things out. They're still coming up with rules. And I mean, hell, like even pro sports these days, like the NFL, you see rule changes all the time, like every year. I don't know if you remember a few years back. I mean, like the horse collar rule, for example, like where you can't pull down a player from his collar, like, things like that. Like they're figuring that stuff out still. And I think like we're just doing that. We're in that early stage of forming, a more formal league for the future. And I mean, you just have to kind of roll with the punches and accept that place in history, with where you are. I mean, it's not perfect yet.
Yeah, we're still in our infancy, so.
Yeah, we are. So, Freagy, you have been called, and especially, the video I did with you when I had you on the STiKS was one of my most successful videos, where you were kind of open about SB and what happened with your players and everything. And you have been called one of the best to work with and for, just as an owner, just one of the most easygoing. You support your players like crazy. You like you said, we can see you at events screaming and shouting, backing them up. You go with them, and kind of the Hastro model of making sure they have what they need to be successful. And for them, success is winning, and so you try to create that environment. So in as hard as you work, since you have a smaller organization, there's always that opportunity, that chance that your players, when they start to perform consistently well, are going to be targeted, like SB, the fishing pond, they're going to be targeted for larger teams. And it may not be someone like Hastro that's targeting a player, but it may be one of Hastro's players that is looking at an SB player and saying, hey, I think, methods would work well over here, and so my question for you is, as you try to grow your brand, what do you do or what can we do as a community and at large to make sure that we're balancing personal growth? Because if Sensor leaves SB and goes to FaZe, his personal growth, his own personal YouTube channel may skyrocket a lot faster, but how do we balance that with, the growth of these smaller teams so that we don't end up having, what we have now? Is it overall growth of just the sport in general, or kind of what should we do?
Well, one of the good things about MLG is that even if even if the bigger organizations wanted to snatch up my whole team, the rule that's in place is then it's not going to allow that to happen. And like for example, if like Hastro needed a player, he won't drop all three of his players unless he drafted all four of my players. It'll be physically impossible for him to take all four of my players. You know what I'm saying? That rule right there was one of the reasons why I support MLG so much, is that if you're in the league, you're good. You got that part. Now, if if another organization, for example, that is not in the league and wanted to snatch up my players, they would. We've learned our lesson. I can tell you that right now. I can tell you that right now. We've learned our lesson. We took a blow, but I mean, I don't think that we're completely out of it, because we've learned so much, in the 11 months that we've been here. It's about to be 11 months, I mean, our anniversary, like I said, is next month, and 1 year anniversary of SB has been around. But with that being said, smaller organizations that are trying to not small organizations that don't want that to happen to them need to know that contracts are so imperative. Contact an entertainment lawyer, or if you know a good friend that happens to have a good contract, contact them. Get advice as much as you can. That's the problem with a lot of people. Especially the ones with egos. If you have a question, ask, man. What's the worst that they're gonna say? No. And that's the thing about SB, is that we are constantly learning. This is just a learning process for us. And contracts are really important. I know many people, many teams try to get away with breaking contracts, and they don't understand. Once this becomes a lot bigger, and they try to pull that, I'm off this team type nonsense, you're gonna get hit with a lawsuit, and the one that's gonna lose is gonna be you.
Mm-hmm.
So contracts are 100% important, and I mean, as far as SB and players in the season, it's going to be impossible unless they drafted all four of our players. So hopefully I answered that question.
You did. So this may be my last question, so we can get to a few questions from Twitter, because I know that the chat loves to watch that kind of stuff. So and I'll start actually with Hitch and Fatty, and then you guys can answer from what your role is on your team. My question is, what level of involvement do you think that team owners and managers should have in the roster of an organization? So in the actual, who gets on the team, who do they pick, who do they look at, and when they're making those types of decisions, the draft, all that kind of stuff, how much of that should be, if any, on the team owners? And I'll start with Hitch and then go to Fatty. And then Jay and Mike, you guys can answer kind of what your role is on your team, and do you have any say in your rosters?
Oh, man, that's a hard question, because I mean, like Hastro was saying, like, in order for us to be successful, we kind of have to go along the same path as like professional sports have. And obviously the coaches and the management, they all picked their own teams, and the players don't really have that much say. But we haven't really gotten to that point where we have veterans. I mean, there's only a few veterans in our actual community that have been through this, knows what it's like to be a player and win championships, and has enough knowledge of the game to pick a squad. So right now, the only people with knowledge of the game are the actual players. So I don't think that anytime soon it's gonna have any like I don't think that a coach or a manager can just say, hey, here's our 4 teams. I think or here's our 4 players for our team. I think that's how it's going to be. I don't think that can really happen because there's not enough knowledge in it yet, and or there's not enough any veterans, I guess you could say. But I think it might come around, and I'm hoping one day it does.
Okay, Patty.
So I think as far as the owner of a team, if I own a team, I want to pick who's working for me. I want to be directly involved in that. That being said, I would probably pick up a veteran that was a great player, obviously, that I trusted, and said, pick some people you can get along with and play, and we'll go from there. I'm not going to be like, hey, you are going to play with Hitch, and or you will play with Rambo, right? I don't know, but I would like to be able to trust my captain to pick players that they would be, that would work with me as well as I would work with them.
Which is kind of how it is now, don't you think?
Does either one of you guys want to go first, Hastro or Freagy?
It doesn't matter. I can go.
All right, go for it.
One of number one, I I learned my lesson, like I said, with the whole censor thing. I let him pretty much run the show because we were a brand new organization. We really didn't know much about players, but the learning experience that we learned from day one to now is one, you have to value your captain's opinion, which is important. But as a general manager like myself and Hastro, we are the ones that have the say in our team. Because if you let players run your team, you look what happened to us. I mean, obviously, no offense to Censor. I mean, that's done and over with. That's just that's an irrelevant story as far as that. I mean, for me at least. But to let a player, one, you should value your team. The reason why people say that I'm a good person to talk to is because I am. I listen. I don't ever I listen first and then I put my input second. And if it's a disagreement, let's solve this disagreement. We don't want to sit there and have everything just tossed up in the air and everyone's just questioning. What's next? So one of the things I do is I value my player's opinion, and if I feel like it's not beneficial, I have enough knowledge to know if it's beneficial or if it's not. So that's one of the things that I get from my players whenever questions are being asked about a drop or this doesn't work. If a team's not working out, this player doesn't, he's good, but he's not doing what he's supposed to. And it doesn't work with our scheme. It all depends, and I value all my players' opinions. So when we make our decisions, it's our decision that we make. We vote from it, and then from there we move on from there.
Okay, Hastro.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm really involved. So with our decisions, and I mean, I'm talking really involved. It doesn't. If the players want to make a change on our team, and it's historically with any of our rosters, I mean, they'll come to me and say like, we need to do something, or this is what we would like to do. And I don't think anything has ever really happened without me being involved or our partners and management on the team. I mean, it's always been something that we've discussed internally, but maybe it's different for me because I've been a professional player, so I do have a lot of game knowledge, and I can see like I can judge talent and see it. So I don't know. It's different for me, but yeah, I can't imagine like not being involved in that process.
Yeah,
Would you say, Hastro, that you I don't want any names, but has there been trades that your team has requested that you turned down? Again, I don't want any names.
It depends. It just depends on the situation, and like Well, it just depends on how I feel, I guess, in those moments. I mean, if it was a player that I felt, we needed to make a change for, like, yeah, I would say, like, okay, we need to do this. Let's do it. But if it was, a situation where I didn't agree, then I would let my guys know that. But if they couldn't come to terms with it, and the fact that I didn't agree, then yeah, I mean, I would help them make that change if it was, a last ditch effort. By
So you
them
put the players first, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, players will come first always.
Okay. Do you think that in the future of competitive Call of Duty that coaches will come back? Is that going to be something that we see back on the scene?
You know, I think eventually, yeah. I mean, I've always been kind of one of those guys that I don't know. For me, like I feel like it takes like a professional level player to be a decent coach.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I've just never been really like too keen on the idea of coaches unless it was somebody who could go in and be almost a professional level player themselves.
100% agree.
Interesting.
You get coaches that are there for screaming and demoralizing the players, but absolute no knowledge of the game. That doesn't work.
Yeah, well, I mean, it really does help to have a coach that can make call outs. So, I mean, a lot of players aren't very vocal when they're in the middle of like a gunfight, let's say, and that extra timing on that call out is so crucial, man.
It is.
That it's an advantage, But yeah, I would say that it's important to have somebody like that on the team if at all possible. But it's not something, again, it's not something I think is like completely necessary. But yeah.
Okay. Hitch or Fatty, do you guys have any questions that you want to throw out before we go to questions from Twitter?
I'm good, I think.
No, I'm good. Too many. I just can't.
I've already, one time I asked Hastro how to become a great caster. Hastro, do you remember what you told me?
Yeah, smoke a bunch of cigarettes and drink a lot of booze.
Best advice I ever got. That was awesome.
Is that what I told you?
What?
Is that what I told you?
Yeah, that's what you told me.
Yeah, this is how to become a really good caster.
That was Anaheim 2 years ago.
Oh my goodness!
Well, you've come a long way in 2 years, Fatty.
Yeah.
How did
How's that treating you, by the way?
I got to cast MLG Anaheim on the stream, so that was good.
Oh, good.
It's probably about the highlight of my casting career, but
yeah.
No, you're a good caster. You have a casting voice.
I don't know about that. I just have fun. Like I'm a fan first and foremost, right?
Yeah.
So I love the game. I love casting. I love the players. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I like casters that let us laugh at them and with them, and I think you do that. So Fatty, you can go ahead and take over and throw some questions from Twitter.
All right, from Twitter, the first question we have is from Oi Jeffrey, and it is, how much do orgs now actually benefit from players winning tournaments?
I don't even know I can't answer that. That's Hastro or Freagy.
It depends. I think. I mean, it depends. I think it just really depends on the org and what their deal is with the players. I mean, I think it's. I don't know. I can tell you that our organization, in terms of like financial benefit, we take a small portion of the prize money from the players in return for all the things that we do for them. Mm-hmm. It's nothing too crazy, and I think they're happy with what we do because our team provides our players with a little bit of monthly salary, and our travel budget alone, I can be open about that, is it's pretty substantial. I mean, we spent, I think, almost $90,000 last year on travel expenses for our team. That's just a Call of Duty team. So, and that's literally like airfare and hotel for our players and staff. So, I mean, that's hotel rooms and flights, and so like you got to pay for that stuff somehow, and sponsor money is not always going to cover that. So, in total, So yeah, I don't know. I think it just depends on the organization and what they request out of the players. But in terms of like brand benefit, I think winning an event is huge. I mean, in terms of just gaining notoriety, just the way our teams perform in years in tournaments, we're constantly finishing in the top three, and I think that's what's made us a big brand in esports, one of the biggest brands in esports in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead, Freaky.
When see like for most organizations, winning an event is huge because that opens up a lot of opportunities for the org to grow. Obviously, placing top 8 or better is also good. I mean, you don't always have to win an event, but at least show you're whether that's being on mainstream is huge. Because it's allowing your organization to be advertised over a pretty big network. Especially if it's on MLG or UMG, and thousands of people are watching. So for like Hastro said, it all depends. I mean, we've received a few contracts, pretty small, but I mean, I won't get into details on what we've gotten. But it all depends. I mean, placing in tournaments is big, so it allows a lot of exposure for your organization, and it gives exposure. Anytime that you're on mainstream, man, you're exposing your org. So it all depends.
Well, I wouldn't have I think next week I'm probably gonna have Denial CEO on the show. Wouldn't even have considered it. I probably wouldn't even know who he was if they wouldn't have won the last event. I knew Denial, of course, but Denial CEO popped up on Twitter, saying thanks, congratulations to my team, blah blah blah. I saw a retweet or something, and got to know him, and then the rest is history. But it's huge. I think, like you said, for brand just identity. Yeah, we have very large brands like Envy and Optic that necessarily aren't gonna have to win an event to grow their brand. But for these other teams, and I think them as well, like Most Wanted, getting higher placings even helps if you don't win. So
I met Robbie at regionals, and that was the first time I didn't like you said, I didn't know who he was. He came around, we introduced each other, and I've known Robbie since regionals, and he's a good guy, and all the places that all the bad places he's had, and then he's found success when he bought a spot into the season and got himself a spot there, and then he was able to get players on his team to actually do something for him at this UMG event. So it all depends on how much exposure you can get for your organization if you want any kind of benefit in this. So
yeah. All right, Fatty.
Good answers. Good answers. All right, my next question comes from my buddy Chris or Voodoo CJ, and both of you can answer this. Would you ever consider expanding to a second team like Optic has?
We have considered it, but right now, I mean, that's not anywhere close to being in our plans. What we're gonna do is, and maybe you hear it here first. I haven't really talked too much about it, but we're gonna expand into other games at some point soon, and we've been working on that for a while. And yeah, I think we're gonna do it in a pretty big way. And having a second COD team really doesn't benefit us at all, really. So I don't think it really is much of a benefit to anyone. So if we were to do that, I think what we really need to do is just keep expanding our brand into other games, and that's something that we're going to try and do this year.
Free?
I know
yeah,
the answer.
we having another COD team for us is not a benefit, to be honest. But like Hastro says, our plans is to eventually go into other. We've always wanted. We weren't actually gonna start fully on COD, but when we did, we went full throttle. Eventually, we will love to go into other games, League of Legends and all that stuff. Obviously, we're a smaller brand, so to get to that point will take a lot of experience first, and then once that happens, then yeah, that's our plan. We will never have another COD team.
All right.
When Freagy was on the show last time, one of the things that you said that I still don't know how Hex does it, is you said you don't know who you would pick to to root for. Like when SB1 black is facing SB blue, you know, and that's I honestly thought about it and I was like, well, yeah, and it's like when you want to like with Hastro just took the team overseas, it's like, okay, so if you're gonna take your team somewhere, do you take all 8 of these guys or just 4 of them? You know, it's like, I mean, that's just yeah.
You know, like I said, you know, you got Optic Nation. Like, I mean, obviously, you know, that's you know, every organization runs things differently. But if you got Optic Nation versus Optic Nation over Optic Gaming, and you get Nate shot, you know, he gets a 4-piece on Killer. Do you root for that? Oh, get smacked, Killer! Like, I just don't see it. I mean, I feel like, you know, like if, let's say the NFC East, you know, you got 2 Giants teams, 2 Philadelphia teams, 2 Washington teams, 2 Cowboys teams.
Yo,
you know,
Freagy has the best sports references. He always comes up in the STiKS, dropping sports bombs.
I'm a big sports guy. I just don't, you know, like, you know, I mean, what happens in Search and Destroy? You know, what happens in the final game? You know, are you gonna have that same kind of cheer that you get, you know, that you get from when Optic Gaming's in the finals? You know, look at when Optic Gaming was in the finals. You know, do you get that same thing? I mean, if 2 Optic Gamers are in the finals, I just don't see the benefit in it. I mean, you know, maybe Hex has a plan for himself, but I mean, to me personally, we would never do it. It's just not benefit.
It's kind of like the question we got asked earlier in the week, Anthony, where somebody asked if they thought Optic Nation was jealous, like possibly jealous of
California.
Yeah, because you know those gaming guys are out in, is it California or?
Yeah, at the Red Bull office.
So they're getting, you know, everything nice. And so are they getting sponsored by Red Bull? Is that what's going on? I don't know.
We don't know. But I'll tell you this, like, Nation has been playing better in the last, I mean, online and on land. I mean, they've just been playing better. And so it's kind of like is only one of those 2 teams going to get sponsored? I mean, it's a huge conundrum. I'm sure Hex, he's an intelligent businessman. You know, he's been doing this for a long time. I'm sure he has it figured out. He's a lot smarter than some people give him credit for, you know, because he's an ex-player. But that dude, he's very genuine. And so if we asked, he'd probably tell us. But
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I mean, they have double the shot of winning a tournament in Call of Duty, you know.
And double
every time there's a Call of Duty event, they got 2 teams there. I mean, but like I said, I mean, that's something Optic is just kind of ahead of everybody else in terms of being able to do what they can do. And, you know, I mean, that's if they can afford to do it and make it happen, I mean, that more power to them, you know. But for us, I mean, when time comes where we're able to, you know, I guess support 2 teams, which is relatively soon, you know, I just feel like for me personally, and I think everybody else on our team, I mean, we like other esports, you know, we like other gaming titles, and we like to watch other games and see those games being played on the big stage, and we enjoy that stuff. So that's why I think a lot of us are on board for having a team in another game represent Envy.
All right, should we do one more question?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, Avalanche Twitch, everybody's favorite guy. He asks, what is it like having the responsibility of owning and running a professional Call of Duty team?
Oh, responsibility? Wow, a lot. The question should be, how much patience do you have? You know, it's a lot of responsibility. I can tell you right now, if you aren't a patient person, you shouldn't be in this. This isn't for you. There's a lot of responsibility because it all, like every event, you know, if you're a general manager like myself, you know, where we book flights, book hotels, you know, we're the ones that look for sponsors. And if you don't have time and patience, man, it's not all about responsibility. Responsibility has a lot to do with it, man, but it's a lot of patience involved, especially when, you know, you got, sometimes you can get into a disagreement with a 19-year-old, and you know me, I'm in my mid-20s, man. You know, you sitting there fighting with a 19-year-old. You know, you want to just like, listen here, buddy. If I have to go over there and put a hole through your face, I'm going to do it. You know, it's just things like that. You know, I'm like, you know, that's the love that we have for our team, that we're willing to work. You know, we're willing to side things away. But if you're hard, if you're a mad type of guy and you don't get mad about anything, man, this isn't for you, bud. But a lot of responsibility, trust me, lots and lots of responsibility.
Oh man, Astro, you got any comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's God, man. I mean, I've been around for a long time, and yeah, I mean, it's been like one day we'll tell our story about all the stuff that we've gone through, man, and it'll be, I think a lot of people's jaws will drop when we tell them stuff. I mean, like
If
I
you
can't
need
even
somebody
begin
to
to tell
document
you.
it, if
I
you need
can't even
somebody
begin
to
to tell
document
you,
it,
like,
man.
when we first got our team house in 2010, I'm talking, want to talk about responsibility, man. When you all of a sudden you got a $2,000 lease and you got another $1,000 in bills every month, and you're not, it's coming out of your personal pocket like every month, and it's that was responsibility for me. That was where it like cracked wide open. It's like, oh shit, it's like these bills are coming in and our power is getting cut off, and we got to play matches, and our water bills, our water is getting cut off and stuff like that. And we just did everything we could to survive, man. So like, yeah, that's what you're getting into. I mean, you literally have to you either come in with money and as an owner of a team, and you come in with a lot of money that you can survive off of for 3 years with making no money back, or you hit the fucking door, man, and you just never go through. You just don't go through. So
That's
it's
where
either
I'm at.
you either step through it or you don't, and
Yeah.
you just have to make that decision, because that responsibility is something you have to accept immediately, or you're going to be done. You're going to be done so quick.
If you're a brand new owner in an organization, you have like, I don't know, let's say 30,000. That's probably going to be good enough for maybe a year if you plan on attending all MLG, UMG events. Let's say 30,000. I strongly suggest you use that wisely or run a lemonade shop or something. That's just not good enough, buddy. This is not good enough. You got 25 cents for each cup of lemonade. Here you go, boss. Make some money.
Well, your reputation is everything too, man. Like, the second you screw over like players on a team or something, like, you're just kind of done. Like the players just don't trust you anymore, and that word spreads, and
Well, that's what.
that too. I mean, I've seen it happen to so many dudes who've come in and said like, "Oh, we're gonna, we own a team and we're supporting a team," and then something goes sour and whatever. They like make their arguments public or whatever it is, and they're just done. You're just done. It's over.
Look at our case. I had Censor post lies on YouTube, and he got caught in a lie. But it happens. I mean, they that's just one of the things I say. You have to have a lot of patience, man, and just work through a lot of the ups and downs, because you're gonna get a lot of ups and downs. If not, you're gonna get a lot of downs, more downs than ups. So just be very patient. If this is something you want to do, good luck.
Yeah, I mean, it's the responsibility of running a business is what it comes down to too. Like at the end of the day, now, I mean, I'm still learning a lot, but now, I mean, I feel like I have a master's degree in business now because of what I've learned. I'm dead serious, man. I'm dead serious. Like
an MBA from college.
you guys don't even know. Like I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I don't really tweet much anymore. I don't really
you don't
like engage with just talking to people very much anymore, because I'm just constantly like, I want my own personal time now because I'm so busy doing all these other little things for the team. I mean, I talk to like our attorney like every couple days. I'm literally in our accountant's office like getting stuff done. I mean, this is real. Like I'm running a business with business partners now for the team, where I have a responsibility to make sure that this eventually makes money and we're surviving as a business. Like it's really about survival. Um, and I can tell you right now that we're profitable. We're a profitable company. Our accounting ledger for 2013 was profitable, and
That's awesome.
it'll be this way this year too. And it's not a ton of money at all, but I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job. If at the end of the day our balance is higher than what it was when we started the year. So, that's the gist of it. That's responsibility.
It's more to a lot of organizations that, new organizations that come in. If I can remember correctly, I think it was Sigma, something like that. So Sigma Esports.
Yep. They
You know,
died.
they started strong. You know, they got decent players. I think one of the players was Sender.
And they won a 2K.
And yeah, they did. They were getting their name out there.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people fail to realize that when you run an organization, it's not just all right. I'm the manager. I'm the owner. You have to have a lot of heads involved. It's not just own your opinion, and it's more to it than just running a small organization. You know, you have to be. First off, you have to be smart about what you're doing. You know, you remember you're the manager. You have to have that management type of mentality, and not to mention you have to know about marketing your company. You know, if you don't have these two things, management and marketing, you know, you're clueless. I have a degree in management marketing, so I'm pretty big on what we want to do as far as our target market goes.
Yeah.
It's so much more involved than people think. They think it's just, oh man, let me get Nate Shot and three other beast players. Well, not Nate Shot, but that's never gonna happen. But let me get let me get formal and three other beast players, and let me try to make an organization, and let's see what happens. You know, if you're
Yeah.
based stuff on fate, good luck.
First.
Yeah, and Sigma looked promising. I think they had Saint, Sender.
Yeah.
I don't remember the two other guys. They won a 2K, beat a whole bunch of pro teams. People started to get to know them, and then they kind of screwed their players over. And with Twitter, players went to Twitter, and they tweeted that no, they weren't getting their money for their flights, and then Sigma quickly faded into non-existence. Because weren't they in the league season 1?
Who's that? Sender? Sigma?
No, Sigma. Or season 2? Weren't they in one of the seasons of the league?
Huh.
I feel like
remember.
they were.
So.
I feel like Sigma was.
Yeah, I think they were. I can't remember.
Like they were in season 1.
They didn't last long.
No.
And
It
the thing is, it's like they probably came in thinking, all right, this 3-4 of us. I don't know how many were in there, but I mean, I remember looking at Sigma. 'Cause I kind of just scrolled through Twitter here and there, and I remember seeing like there was like 2 or 3 of them, co-owners and CEOs and all that stuff. And they probably came in thinking, hey, we can do this. I mean, look at other organizations. They've did it. And, I mean, let's try to see what we can do. They probably realized how hard it was, and they were like, whoa, this is not what I expected. I'm out of here. They hit the door. It's like, look at how successful Envy, how many years it took Envy to become, to find the success. Look how many years it took, Optic to find success. It's not no walk in the park. You have to come in there with that mentality. You have to do your research, man. If you don't do your research, it's just so much more than people think. It's not easy. It's not an easy task. And I mean, me personally, I think I came in just the right time. Because if I would have started when Envy and Optic started, I probably wouldn't. SB wouldn't even be around. I mean, look at Fear. Yeah. Fear was around from the start of Envy and Optic. Around that same era. And look at Fear. They're trying to come back in the game. They're trying to get back in there. They're trying to do big things again. I think with us, we started in just the right time.
The right time. Yep.
We're able to lose out on a little bit, but gain on something. Because of the whole MOG, the MOG league, the season. We were one of the first teams, first organizations in there. It was a 6-team invitational or 8-team invitational. I can't remember. No, 6-team invitational or something like that when they first started. That was the start of everything, and that's when we came around, and that's when Pucky gave me a call, and we talked about what his plans were and how he wanted to do it, and he invited a bunch of other teams, and he talked to all the owners and general manager of the team, and then they had all that started. So it's a rough task. Nothing ever comes easy, especially life. Nothing ever comes easy, man. So it's not easy. Trust me.
Especially when you gotta pay for everything.
Yeah. We're well into overtime, and we'll probably continue with some similar talk next week. I believe we're gonna have Foreplay and Denial CEO on. Foreplay is one of the co-owners of Envy, and still kind of plays professionally. He just, he said it on his own channel. He said he's gonna wait it out and see kind of what happens. But I know he wants to, he's working over at Gamma and stuff like that. So we'll have them on next week, same time, same channel, and we're gonna end the STiKS the way we always end the STiKS. I'm gonna allow all of you guys to say whatever you want to whoever you want, and your 30-second message. I'm gonna go Fatty Hitch, Hastro, Freagy, and then I'll close it out.
All right. I've been your short fat friend, Smiting Fatty. Make sure you use Fatty25. It's good until tomorrow for 25% off of your G Fuel purchase. Make sure you follow all these wonderful gentlemen.
Hitch.
Thanks, guys, for having me on. I know I didn't talk your ear off this time like I normally do, but I'm gonna go play Destiny, and I'm super excited. Super excited for the professional Envious Destiny team that was announced on the stream today. Did that happen, right?
Yeah, he said Fatty, Hitch, Goldie,
Yeah.
and
Okay.
Oh,
all right.
I think he said Envy Sniping was gonna pick you up as a Destiny sniper.
Oh. All right. I knew it was something along the lines of that. Thanks, guys.
Astro.
We're Gfinity G3 champions.
Hey.
Hey.
That's second largest tournament this year. Second in the largest. Doing pretty good. I'll leave it at that.
Hey, first place in the league currently. Oh, see, I got nothing to brag about, but thank you for having me on. I do appreciate it, guys. If you would use our code SB Gaming for STiKS, you know, Smiley Fatty, he's irrelevant in this picture here, but
oh, it's all right. I love Julio, man.
I
Julio's
was kidding. Yeah, big shout out to STiKS, big shout out to our sponsors, especially Scuff, all our sponsors, Navy Media, all them guys. You know, they're great. First on Mortgage. But yeah, guys, thank you for having us on. I do appreciate, you know, me personally, I like to be on. I like to talk your heads off. But thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, likewise. I gotta say thank you too. Appreciate it. Always down to talk.
Sweet.
Well, I appreciate both of you coming on, especially you, Hastro. You've been kind of quiet in the community for a minute, but now you kind of let us know why. It's just working. And that's kind of my final thought, I guess, is that there's a direct correlation between success and hard work. It has been proven over and over again. If you look at Envy, hard work. Look at Optic, hard work. You look at SB still being around, surviving, hard work. And so there's a contingency of our community right now, whether it's taking pictures, doing graphics, doing what Hitch does, you know, trying to do some social or some media stuff on YouTube and things like that. Even me with growing my personal brand, there's a contingency where there's a lot of organizations popping up and they cannot afford to necessarily pay people. But, you know, just work hard. People notice hard work, period. You know, it is one of the easiest things to spot is when you see someone that works really hard, and you will reap a benefit of the work that you're doing. I can guarantee that. I don't know what the benefit's going to be, but you will reap a benefit. It took me 2.5 years to get to any size on YouTube, you know, having 1,000 subscribers for a year and a half. Now I'm approaching 30 and continuing to climb with the content that I make. And people love the STiKS, you know, and I'm on a show with, you know, Hastro, someone who I used to, you know, envy, no pun intended.
I still am. I remember when he followed me.
For what he gets to do, and having Freaky Toast on the show is awesome. You know, I remember the first time we had him on, it was one of our best shows ever, you know, and so I really appreciate all you guys, Hitch, Fatty, and Goalie behind the scenes, the best producer in the world. He could easily produce a show on MLG.TV with no problem. Puckett should just pick him up. But I want him to stay with me. So this is your boy Kingdom Soldier and the rest of us, and we'll see you guys next week on STiKS. Peace.